Learning a language often feels like trying to fill up a bucket with water, but the bucket has holes in the bottom. Do you ever have the feeling that no matter how hard you study, it just doesn't seem to stick? It's so easy when learning a foreign language to put pressure on ourselves and become disheartened by a lack of progress. Especially when we see polyglot geniuses on YouTube who can apparently learn a whole language in a week. Whether you're spending hours on apps like Duolingo, going to classes, or paying a lot of money for private tutoring, sometimes it feels like you're not actually getting any better. And this can be super frustrating or even depressing, even to the point where you think about quitting. People say that repetition is the key to learning a language. In order to memorize words and grammar, you need to repeat them over and over and over and over again. But what if I told you that repetition wasn't the key to learning a foreign language? What if it's actually something fundamentally different? If you look up spaced repetition theory on YouTube, this video explains that in order to remember something long term, you have to actively retrieve it right at the point when you are about to forget it. What does that mean? What is actively retrieving something? Say you read a new word in a book. You look it up to see what it means, and then you write it down or say it 10 times. That is repetition. It's not challenging your brain. It's the mental equivalent of going for a jog. It's quite easy, it feels like you're working out, but you're not really getting any faster at running or making any progress. Now, say you go through the same thing, but instead of writing it down or saying it 10 times, you just move on. Forget it. Keep reading your book. 3 minutes later, you wonder if you can still remember that word that you looked up. So you go back to the start of the page and you read it again. You get to the word and you remember what it means, but this time it was hard to remember. This time it wasn't like going for a jog. It was like doing hill sprints until you're about to throw up. So actively retrieving a memory is like letting a paper boat drift away from the shore of a lake, but then grabbing it just before it drifts away from us forever. And you can let the boat drift slightly further and further each time and still be able to grab it. When I'm studying a language, I usually test myself on vocabulary after about 3 minutes, after about 10 minutes, the next day, and then about 7 to 10 days after that. And if this seems like a lot of work, that's the neat thing. It's not. This will actually save you a lot of time, because instead of repeating something 10 or 20 times in order to try and remember it, you only have to repeat it 2 or 3 or 4 times. Whenever you are sure that something is in your long-term memory, you don't have to revisit it again. You only revise the words and phrases that you don't remember. You don't have to dig out the whole vegetable plot. You only have to dig out the weeds. If you're reading an actual book, then you can underline or circle the words, and that means you can go back and visit them without having to reread everything. If you're reading on a laptop or Kindle, you can actually search words in the search box and it will take you to them. And if I'm doing this with a TV show, I usually just like to make a vocabulary list by episode, and I can usually remember what bits of the episode I have to skip to check the vocabulary, but if you want to, break it up into 10-minute sections, or you could even record what time in each episode you saw the new word or phrase. And if you think memory retrieval and spaced repetition are cool, just wait till you hear about feedback loops.